Hi, I'm Jana Shalom, and this is Nervous System Groundwork. Your nervous system is part of the body that helps you breathe, move, and respond to the world, especially when things feel overwhelming. In these videos, I share a few simple strategies that work with the body, not against it, with clear explanations of what's happening within the body at a physiological level. These tools are not here for stabilization, not for self-improvement. And if something doesn't work for you, that's not failure. It's information. Let's begin. Nervous system groundwork, when the nervous system starts to thaw. Before we begin, it helps to acknowledge the state that many people arrive in when opening a video like this. Often we arrive here because something inside the body has started shifting. Emotions may be appearing that once were not present. Tears may be coming more easily. Sensitivity may feel stronger than usual. And that can feel confusing at times, especially when we thought things were supposed to feel easier by now. So before anything else, we want to state nothing here is required. We do not need to watch this whole video, and we do not need to fix ourselves. Orientation Season 0 is working to shift urgency. So we need to understand that not everything we hear is telling us we must do something. And this conversation is one of those moments. Because the conversation is not about how to become regulated. The conversation is a space for us to simply offer companionship and understanding for something that many nervous systems experience, yet we don't talk about out loud. And when a person has been living in survival for a very long time and their nervous system begins to soften, the brace begins to ease, that can feel very different. And oftentimes we can interpret that as going backwards instead of forward. In the podcast, we recently explored how survival patterns form in our nervous system, and how our bodies learn to brace when the environment requires us to have constant effort, and how the bracing can become normalized over time. Today we're focusing on something that happens when the bracing begins to loosen. Because when the nervous system starts to release long-held tension, a process can begin that many of us are never prepared for. And I like to call this process the thawing. When the nervous system has been functioning out of survival mode, its primary focus becomes very simple. Stay functional. Stay productive. To do this, the body must narrow its attention in order to reduce emotional access, in order to limit sensation. Not because anything is broken, but because this is how the system conserves our energy. Our nervous systems are brilliant. Feeling deeply requires resources. And when the body is already working extremely hard just to stay upright, those resources are not always available. So emotions can become muted or even postponed. Many people describe this experience as a numbness. For many of us, simply over-functioning is a condition that we're learning to shift, even slightly. Because we're realizing our nervous systems once they begin releasing all the tension we've been holding, feelings begin to return. And for those of us who have not yet learned how to feel settled in our feelings, this can begin to feel overwhelming. The nervous system begins to release tension. The nervous system begins to release all of the pent-up feelings. And people experience this in a few different ways. The emotional thaw can look like unexpected sadness or tenderness or grief. Maybe the nervous system now feels fatigued, or memories begin to resurface. Waves of emotions start to come through. None of these experiences mean the nervous system is getting worse. Often it means the system is beginning to move again. We're now coming back online to the reality of our world that we once had to narrow in order for productivity to function. There are a few gentle supports that can help the body when emotional thawing begins. These are not techniques to control our feelings. They are ways that the nervous system finds steadiness while feelings are present. We will name 3 possibilities, but no, nothing is required here. Sometimes simply hearing that options are available is enough. First, orientation to the environment. When strong feelings appear, our attention can narrow. Orientation widens our awareness again. And it might look simply like looking around the room, literally. Noticing, what shapes do I see? What sounds do I hear? What color stands out the most? Nothing needs to change. The body is simply remembering that the environment exists beyond what we're feeling internally. And sometimes that widening is just enough for the nervous system to remain present. The emotional thaw can feel easier when another nervous system is nearby. Number 2, co-regulation. This might be a trusted person or even a pet. It might just be a calm voice who happens to be nearby during that moment, or simply the presence of someone else who's steady in this moment. Because our nervous systems are relational. And sometimes just sitting near someone who feels safe helps our own body settle while feelings begin to move. Nothing needs to be explained. The presence in and of itself can be the support. Third, when emotions surface, many of us begin to try to suppress it or push through it. This support is different. It's learning to stay. Not fix, not change. Simply stay with what we're witnessing. The body can be here. The nervous system can thaw. And yet, it doesn't require us to do anything but stay with the moment. Maybe this just looks like standing and stretching. Maybe it looks like changing position, going from seated to standing, or standing to leaning. Maybe it's just choosing to hold something that's warm. Movement gives the body another pathway for releasing what we've been holding. And sometimes that movement is simply the awareness that this is how I feel right now. Sometimes none of these supports will land. And that's important to name. because orientation does not help if we're just using it to compare ourselves to others. Movement does not help if we're moving yet still taking on all of the overwhelm coming our way. That doesn't mean we failed. It just means that the emotional thaw is happening in waves. And sometimes those waves are larger than others. And sometimes we need more supportive responses. And it could simply be by saying, I don't have capacity right now. I'm turning this video off. Or I'm going to rest for the next half hour. The nervous system is already doing what it needs to do. There's nothing that we actually need to accomplish here. But before we close, we might hold one question gently. If emotion has been appearing more lately, what if that feeling is not evidence that something's wrong? What if it's evidence that our nervous system has begun to soften and the thawing has begun to release? We do not need to decide on any answers today. Sometimes simply allowing the possibility of change is what our body needs to hold the experience differently. If this video has been enough for now, it's completely okay to stop here. But sometimes the most supportive step is simply recognizing that the nervous system is doing and allowing the body to move at the pace it needs. And when we can slow down and actually allow ourselves to listen to that pace, it could be informing us as to how best we can support our nervous system next.